Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Hope everyone's well. It's been really cold this week, but it's good. We've got through this week, one more week closer to Christmas. It's going to be a strange Christmas this year, but like I always say, everything will be okay. Right, so today's lesson we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring the message of the sheep and goats. So it's in Matthew 25:31 to 46. When the Son of Man comes as king and all the angels with him, he will sit on the royal throne and the people of the nation will be gathered before him. Then he will divide them into two groups, just as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the righteous people on the right-hand side and the others on the left. Then the king will say to the people on his right, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father. Come and possess the kingdom which has been prepared for you ever since the creation of the world. I was hungry and you fed me, thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you received me in your homes, naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you took care of me, in prison and visited me." The righteous will then answer, "When, Lord, did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? When did we ever see a stranger and welcome into our home, or naked and clothe you? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you?" The king will reply, "I tell you, whenever you did this for me, one of the least important of these members of my family, you did it for me." So that bit, it doesn't say, those people were questioning the king, saying, when did we ever do that for you, particularly as in a person? Like, when did we do that for you? But he says, when you did it for someone else that was least important, you did it for him. And that's exactly when we shepherds for Jesus, and we go out and we share the good news, and when we do righteous things, when we do good things for other people, that's doing right for Jesus, and that makes him happy. We can't go and give Jesus food. We can't go clothe Jesus. We can't go and visit Jesus, but we can visit his people, the people that he loves really a lot. So why do you think Jesus describes his followers as sheep and not as goats? So that's a little thing you can think about. Have a discussion with your adults and think why Jesus might separate his sheep from his goats, and why does he call us sheep and not goats? So throughout the Bible, Jesus describes himself as a good shepherd, and a shepherd guides and protects his sheep. They follow him and make sure they have what they need. Goats can be very different. They are far more independent. They don't need someone to protect them. They don't need someone to guide them and lead them. So that's a little thing you can think about, how you can be a sheep rather than a goat, serving Jesus, serving God in your life. So in Jesus' time, most herds would have been a mixture of sheep and goats. At certain times, a shepherd would have needed to separate out the sheep. Even though they might have looked similar, the shepherds know his own sheep and can separate them out easily. And that's exactly like God. He knows his sheep. He knows us one by one. He can see us from a mile away. He can separate us from anything. He knows us personally. And we need to be sheep. We need to follow him and listen to him. And we need to do righteous for him, to him, by doing it to other people that he loves, to his people who are our family too. So this is a question that you can think with your family, is what can you do as a family to help those in need in your community? And what is our church doing to help those in our community? So now it's a bit difficult with coronavirus and everything that's going on. I know you can't go out and do as much as you would like to, but there are things you could still do. So have a discussion with your family and see what you guys can do to go out and show the love. It might be donating clothes to the homeless. It might be donating food to the food banks. So this teaching, there isn't a craft. You're going to have a discussion with your adults, and you are going to find out, obviously, with restrictions and lockdown and everything, you need to speak to your adults and find out what you can do and what you can't do. But as soon as lockdown's over and you've got more freedom and you can do more things for people in the community, then of course you can do this. It's not just doing it once and then not doing it again. So you're going to think about being a sheep for Jesus and doing right for him by sharing his love, going out and spreading the love. Because if we're sharing the love and we let Jesus' light shine through us, people are going to see, and people are going to go, I want to know what that person's filled with. We filled with the Holy Spirit, and let it shine through. And people are going to see that and be like, I want to know what that person's filled with. What is that person so happy about life for? What is that person thriving on love for? I want to know who that person follows or what that person believes in. Because if I see someone happy, I want to know what makes them happy. I want to be that person too. So that's what will encourage people to investigate and to find out about Jesus and be like, oh yeah, I want to know about that person too. How does he make my life happy? So that's very important. So the pandemic has made it hard for us to connect with others as we might like to. And so why not choose one of these challenges to take on as a family? Speak to your family. There's quite a few. You can do them once a week. You can do all 4 of them or all 3 of them and do one a week. Or you can do it multiple times. But speak to your parents or your adults. Ask them what you're allowed to do and let them tell you what you're allowed to do. So find out what supplies your local food bank most need and arrange to make a donation. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be secondhand. It doesn't, obviously food bank can't be secondhand food, but if it's a clothes bank or something, it doesn't need to be brand new. It doesn't need to cost a lot. It can just be a tin of food or something. Speak to your adults and see if you're allowed to do that. There's another one, so you can do that this week or next week or whenever you're allowed to. Then there's another one. So reach out to a neighbor or someone in your church who's living alone. So it might be difficult to know people in church or get hold of them, but you might know that a neighbor is living by themselves, and maybe you want to write them a little letter and tell them that you're praying for them and tell them that you're thinking about them and tell them that they're not alone, and if they need anything they should just call. So obviously, again, speak to your adults and see what you're allowed to do. And if you're allowed to post a letter to your neighbor, post it through the post box so they can feel Jesus's love too and know that someone's there that cares. And then have a family sleepover on the floor. So I know I did this at school. There's a big sleep out for a charity to think about the homeless. So have a big sleep out, and this can be an amazing, fun family activity where you can have a sleep out on the floor and in a homemade shelter. Maybe you've got a box and you can decorate the box inside, make it all like fill it with verses and prayer and all encouraging words like hope, love, faith. Fill the box inside, all lovely and decorated, and sleep on the floor for that evening and pray while you're doing that. There's always a reason why we say to do something. It's not just to do it to make you look good. It's always to think about someone. So when you do the family sleep out, if you do it, pray for all the people that are homeless. It's been bitterly cold this last week, and think about all the people that are on the street. When you're sleeping in your nice cozy bed, warm and fuzzy, and even if you share it with a sibling, all those you've got a comfy bed, a roof over your head, and there's people out on the street who don't have that. So pray for all those people and ask God to protect them during this time. Hopefully someone will donate a blanket, or they can get warm during this difficult time. And especially during the pandemic, it's really, really hard. So that's a bit different today. We're not going to do a craft. You can do a craft. If you want to share God's love, maybe you want to do a craft or a picture or a painting. Maybe you want to do like a faith, put a faith on a board and paint it and give it to someone, or love, give it to your family member, so you can share God's love and you can do right in Jesus's eyes. Remember, in the Bible, the king said, these people, so he thanked them for doing all the things they've done for him, and they said, but we haven't done it for you. And then the king said, yes, but you've done it for my people, and that is just as good as doing it for me. That is doing it for me. That's what I want you to do. So that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to be a sheep. He wants us to follow his footsteps. He wants us to be led by the shepherd, who's Jesus. And he wants us to do good for his people, because that's doing good for him. If you've got other ideas to share for your love or Jesus's love, or do good things around around your house, or some helping your parents or whatever. You can do chores for your parents without them having to ask. There's loads of things you can do, but try and reach out to the community, post letters into neighbors' post box to say that we're praying for you. Please speak to your adults before you just do that. But do something for your community and share God's love. So I hope you have an amazing Sunday, and I will see you soon. Bye.